to all our BPTV fans, YouTube fans, and if we have a new fan or two, welcome aboard to By Request by Jessica Lee Jazz and Al Levine, the Talking Machine. We co-produce this great show. We have 10 shows already. We have a great show ready for you today. Go to jessicaleejazz.com and please tip the cats, help defray any costs during this corona. And please be safe and healthy. And I'm going to bring Jessica Lee on board now. Jess, what do we have today?
Hey, Al, how are you today?
I'm doing very well.
Okay, well, today it's all about musicians who made requests. I also want to say I think today is about musicians and what they're doing out there during the coronavirus pandemic and how they're doing, how people can help them and collaborate
Sure.
with them too. So today is a special day about not only music, but musicians who have made special requests. So let me ask Al, what are you drinking today?
Uh, this is a great tea. I made it myself at Tupelo Honey Teas. It's called Talking Machine Green Tea. It's available at Tupelo Honey Teas in Millville. You know where it's located. We had a cup of tea there once and a good combo.
Pre-COVID.
Yes, I created it. And I just read a study that they did some research on green tea and some different grapes. And green tea may have different ingredients in it that helps stop the spread of COVID and getting it. It's an inhibitor, not to get too geekish, but it inhibits the DNA of the COVID. They did some recent studies. So I'm
Wow.
taking another sip.
So Al, does white tea count?
Yes.
White tea and green tea are close
Yes.
sisters?
Yeah, they're all from the same plant. There's one tea
Yeah.
plant, believe it, and hundreds of different teas, but that's my little tea tip of the day.
All right. So
Your
this
health.
is to your health, my friend. And Al, let's get into it. Let's talk about the theme today. I was surprised within the last week, I had a lot of musicians actually reach out to me and say, thank you for the By Request programming. It's helping us keep our spirits up. And that as professional musicians, many of them are feeling the blues right now because so many of the venues where they would perform are gone right now. They're out
Right.
of business because of the coronavirus pandemic, Al, and they've lost a lot of their income if they're not able to perform virtually or teach virtually.
No, it is so sad. And to honor all the musicians who have all this training, years experience like you and others, to not be able to do your job, which is being a musician and helping people like me through music. And it's so sad. Just if we can like readjust the process like you were doing and like others, look at how savvy you've been during COVID to try to help further your career and get it moving forward somehow,
Oh,
some way.
so, Al, I think the best artist entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs generally are those who are able to pivot when times get tough and find a way to keep on keeping on, even though it might be a slightly different format. So, what I would say, a couple quick things to people who may be watching out there. If you are interested in supporting live music during the coronavirus pandemic, think about hiring a musician to do a virtual event instead of, having a musician, a singer, a small combo, or a band play at your event. If you're a corporation, if you have a charity, maybe pay them an honorarium to do a recording for a virtual event for you. And it gives them a chance to perform and record for you and for you to have some great music. And now you could have not only local musicians, if you do virtual, you could have national, international musicians to perform for your corporate and charitable events. So I encourage everybody to think about continuing to hire musicians if you would have done it pre-COVID for an event, but do it virtually. That's number one. Number two, uh, we have had some very charitable friends who have started to put some charitable contributions together to help to pay musician honorariums for people to be able to do virtual performances during the pandemic and get paid. And there is a wonderful nonprofit called Pittsburgh Gateways Corporation that has a center, an America's Arts and Music Crossroads Center, that is collecting contributions for musician honorariums for virtual events. So if anybody wants to know about that, please reach out, and you can all go to Jessica Lee, LEEjazz.com. Jessica Lee Jazz, inquire if you want to make a contribution to help musicians during the pandemic, a charitable contribution, or, just think about hiring a musician to do some live streaming performance through Zoom or Facebook Live, or to do some recordings for you virtually. And it's a great way to support, Al.
Oh, I agree. It's sort of like going back old school. Look at all the movies that we had starting out years ago. What did they have? Orchestras, conductors. Look at, I had Louis Armstrong last week, was the director of the orchestra, and he came up and played his trumpet. So go back to some of that. And I always look for a silver lining. And this is part of it. Sometimes the old school things that were successful 40, 50, 100 years ago, it cycles back around. So be positive and try to take that initiative. And like, there's no quit in our games. So you can follow along with us. I don't mind. I'm looking for that silver lining with everything I've been through, and, keep going each day. And this is just a bump in the road.
So Al, absolutely. And I will tell you that a lot of musicians have reached out to me to ask for their own special by request songs, which is always interesting because when you get the general public, you get certain songs.
Sure.
And when you get musicians requesting, you sometimes get some different songs that help them to stay happy. Now, the first song by request today that we're going to perform for everybody watching was requested by a wonderful, talented vocalist. She wanted to remain anonymous. She's fighting the blues. And she specially requested a song. This is the same song, Al, that was little Michael Jackson's favorite song when he was very young.
Yes.
Okay, so little Michael Jackson, when he was about the age where he sang, "I'll Be There for Everybody." And
I remember.
okay, his favorite song was "Smile." And it kind of is a little bit sad in that here he was a little child, and
Yeah.
he was working so hard at being an entertainer. Even when he was young, he was a
Sure.
professional. And so one of his favorite songs, "Smile Though Your Heart Is Aching."
Yeah.
Smile. And it applied to his life as an entertainer, as a child.
Sure.
But it also is a beautiful message. And this particular song, Al, is an older song, and we're going to talk about it. The music was written first, and then the lyrics came many, many years after, right?
I learned that. You're spot on.
What do you think about honoring this by request, song request? This was a special performance that you helped to film with BPTV. Yes. And Dave Cable, Steve. And this was outside of the Carnegie Music Hall just months ago, right before it got very cold, with guitar great Mark Strickland. What do you think?
I think it's great because I have a good memory of the people there all social distancing, just being so enthused. There were even a couple gentlemen singing along with you. And it was so cool because I was about 30, 40 feet away from them to hear their voices too. And the sound that Brando did and the video we have is just awesome. I can't wait to see it again. And it sounded great. This will bring back good memories just recently.
Yeah, so here's big thanks to Dave Cable, the BPTV crew who filmed this live performance, and also to Brandon Martin, we call him Brando, who did the sound mastering.
Yes, he did well.
Let's hear it.
All right, let's listen.
Smile, though your heart is aching. Smile, even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you see the sun come shining through for you. Light up your face with gladness, hide every trace of sadness. Although a tear may be ever so near, that's the time you must keep on trying. Smile, what's the use of crying? You see that life, it's still worthwhile if you just smile, just smile. Smile, though your heart is aching. Smile, even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you'll get by. If you smile through your pain and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you see the sun come shining through for you. Light up your face with gladness, hide every trace of sadness. Although a tear may be ever so near, that's the time you must keep on trying. Smile, what's the use of crying? You see that life, it's still worthwhile if you just smile. Just smile at me as I smile. Smile, smile. Keep on smiling now. Thank you, thank you.
Jessica Lee, another winner. It looked great, it sounded great, and it's just a great song. I listened to the lyrics, especially because you pointed out with young Michael, and it's just so heartfelt. And there's downs to the thing, and then there's positivity that gives you hope. So to me, Smile is a hopeful song.
That's right, Al. And it also says that for anybody watching, we all feel down from time to time. We're all struggling with challenges from time to time, but hang in there. That's what we want to do with this show, is to tell you you're not alone. We want you to hang in there one more day and there's hope, like you said, and lights at the end of the tunnels. So, Al, I know you like to research a little bit about these songs. What did you find out about Smile?
I got to pull a little sheet out. One of my favorite actors over the years was Charlie Chaplin. So when you piqued my interest with, he created the song for his movie, which I've seen, Modern Times. It's a classic, legendary movie. I had watched it numerous times because I'm a geek with old movies and black and white. And this was the musical track with that movie. There were no
Now,
words.
no, right, no lyric, no, it was just the music that he wrote,
Yeah,
Charlie
all
Chaplin.
instrumentals, truly instrumentals, which, I remember hearing great music during that. Like, it brought me back to memories of what you're saying to the musicians. Provide some live music to an ad. How can it not pump it up and get people interested? Just like listen to this song again, it'll pump you up. And then I found out 1954 that John Turner and Jeffrey Parsons wrote the lyrics. And John Turner owned this company that I'm trying to think, what do I have here? The Peter Morris Music Company. What he did is he took foreign music and made it into English lyrics. So that was their business. And his best worker was Jeffrey. He did the lyrics. He was the best at that company. So what a lesson that I learned in the history of it. Many people have performed this song over the years, like you said, with Michael Jackson and others, and it just became a worldwide type of song.
Well, Michael Jackson didn't so much perform it. It was just when he was a baby kid, it was one of his favorites. Now, in the 30s, the music was written right out, and then it was almost 20 years later that the lyric was written in the 50s.
Exactly. Yeah.
In the 50s. And then, like you said, tons of people sang this song and recorded and covered it. And it became one of Michael Jackson's inspirations when he was a baby, 10 years old or so.
Oh, yeah. No, it's a great story. Definitely. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Did you find out anything else, or you want to move on to our second request?
No, that's about all I put in there. There were a couple other things, but I didn't want to get too wordy because our last couple shows we've gone pretty deep. So we'll go deep with this, but we'll keep the information a little more succinct, I hope.
That sounds great. Well, the second song request is really something that I want to dedicate to John D'Amico. And many people in the jazz scene in Pittsburgh, especially the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania region, will remember John D'Amico as this terrific, talented jazz pianist. He played piano, Al. He could sit down and you would give him a song. He could take that particular song, he could play it gospel style, rock and roll style, jazz style. He'd say, you want me to take it to church? Do you want to do it like funk and R&B? He was such a gifted musician, and he could basically take your song, play it the way you wanted him to play it, and then he'd say, okay, I'll write out the bass parts and I'll write out what I want the saxophone player to play and the guitarist
Really?
to play. And he would take like not that long. He'd go and write it out, and he'd hand the music to all the other musicians and say, this is what I want you to play. He was a music director, a music man. And he and I had a special collaboration. My first CD that I ever recorded is called Bluebird Fly, Fly, Bluebird Fly. And if you go to YouTube and look up Bluebird Fly, Jessica Lee, you'll find it. It's out there on Google if you look for it. John D'Amico was the music director for that entire album and the piano player. And we were at Manchester Craftsmen's Guild on the stage, ready to do a live recording of this next song, which is called Get Here.
Wow.
All the musicians were ready. They were ready to record this, the sound engineers ready to press go and start. And John said, please wait, I have something to tell you. And he said, I have a football-sized tumor, which is cancerous, inside of my body right now.
Wow.
And he said, I just recently found out it's cancer and I've got to fight this. And I am in some discomfort. And I said, let's not record today. Nah, let's not do this today. Let's go home. And he looked at me and he said, Jess, let's record today.
Oh.
Let's do this. We only did 2 takes of this song. The second take of Get Here on the Bluebird Fly album was what went on the album, just as is. And as I sang the song Get Here, I was singing to God to come and heal him up. And John beat all the odds, Al. He lived for a lot longer than anybody thought he would. He made a lot of music. Eventually, he did go to heaven. And this song, Get Here, the piano is John D'Amico. He played with a group called Trio Grande with a bass player and a drummer. And people just love not only his music, but a warm personality and a humbled nature.
Sure.
And I would just say that I would like to send this song out to everybody and anybody who feels a little bit alone. They have somebody who's far away, maybe in the military. They wish they were close. They have somebody who's gone to heaven a little bit too early and they miss them and wish they were close. And this lyric is for them. So you want to take a listen to Get Here and we could talk about it on the other side.
Can't wait. Let's listen to it. That's a great story you have, let alone talking about this great man and great pianist. I can't wait to hear it.
You can reach me by railway. You can reach me by trailway. You can reach me by airplane. Reach me with your mind. You can reach me by caravan. Cross the desert like an Arab man. I don't care how you get here. Get here if you can. You can reach me by sailboat. Climb that tree, swing rope to rope. Grab a sled, slide down slope into these arms of mine. You can reach me on a speedy coat. Cross the border in a place of hope. I don't care how you get here, just get here if you can. There are hills and mountains between us, always something to get over. If I had my way, surely you would be closer. I need you closer. the mountains between us. Always something to get over. If I had my way, surely you would be closer. I need you closer. You can windsurf into my life. Take me up on a carpet ride. You can make it in a big balloon. You better make it soon. You can reach me by that caravan. Cross the desert like an Arab man. I don't care how you get here, just get here if you can. Hi, John. The church bells are ringing. That's him. That's him.
Welcome back, everybody, to our new fans, our old fans. Welcome back. What a great song.
Hey, Al, before you go into the facts, at the very end of the song, I don't know if people heard me say John and the church bells ringing.
Yes.
We remember at the live performance when we were done singing that song, the church bells in Carnegie, PA started ringing right at the end of the song. And it was like John was like, hey, everybody, I'm here. Cool.
Yes,
I'm in
that was one of the coolest things. And I got distracted with, getting the video all done and, getting the interviews. And I wondered why you said John. So the light bulb lit up. Thank you. And thank you, John.
John
So,
D'Amico. Yeah. So please go ahead, Al. Tell us what you learned about Get Here.
that's so cool. All right, Get Here has the same year that my daughter was born, 1988. Brenda Russell, an American singer, songwriter, producer, and keyboardist, came up with this song. And she also put it in an album. And the album was her, let me think what this was. Her album was her fourth album. And she had the greatest commercial success coming out with it in 1988. It hit the top 10 hits on the.
Now, wait, Al, wait. Okay, so Brenda Russell wrote the song and she did perform it, but there was another singer who got the big hit with it. And that was a singer named Oleta Adams. Yes?
Oh, okay. I missed that.
Yeah, right. So it was a good solid song, I think, for Brenda Russell, the songwriter. But if you look, Oleta Adams came along and did a version of it.
I saw a couple blips of different singers and she was one of them. And I didn't put that name down because there wasn't a lot of information there.
And she had the big hit with it. So go ahead. I think that hit went pretty high up in the charts.
Yes, it did. And I was going to get into, there were a bunch of other powerful singers that sang this over the years, a lot of the big stars. And, I didn't want to put all the names down and go through it, but it's just legendary with what this song became. And then I saw other things that she produced a record with Earth, Wind and Fire. She performed with Elton John at Wembley Stadium in 1975. So she was pretty prolific in the music world. And her dad was Gus Gordon with the Ink Spots from years ago. And her mother was a songwriter. So it all tied into one beautiful package. And what a great song, truly.
Just a wonderful song. And Oleta, Oleta, if anybody wants to look up Oleta Adams' version of it, it really was the first big monster song hit, at that time. And Brenda Russell with her talent as well and versions. It's great. You have two women right there, Al, who kind of really made that song an American standard. And that song, that second By Request song, is a lot younger than the first song, Smile. that we
Yes,
did
yes, it
today for
is.
everybody. And yet, I think most people recognize Smile sometimes more quickly than Get Here.
I'll second that emotion. Yes. I
And
gotta
so
agree.
that's the nature of how standards are born. You know, classic songs are born that the longer they're around, the more people like them and the more people know about them. And the
Sure.
more people record them.
It just grows on you. It actually does, because they're so well made and well sung that you appreciate it. You have a good memory. Once you're building up those good memories, don't we like to hear favorite songs all the time? I'm sure you do. So,
Amen. And while we have a couple of minutes, I'd like to share with everybody too who's watching that Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania has been widely known as the Steel City, right, Al?
yes,
Now, we're also very well known for our sports, and people who remember back to the 40s and 50s remember us for jazz as well. But all of that being said, in the history books, if you look back around music and history, you'll find that Pittsburgh has another nickname, not just the Steel City, but it's Piano City.
wow. I didn't know
And
that.
yeah, and more great pianists have come out of here than you can imagine. And if you go back in time, you remember the great Henry Mancini who wrote Moon River,
Yes,
the great Mary Lou Williams, one of the mothers of piano jazz, who taught all the
sure.
guys how to play those blue notes. We also have, remember Billy Strayhorn, who
Well,
was
how
the
can you not? Yes,
songwriter who worked with Duke Ellington's band and wrote Take the A Train and Lush Life. And then you have the great Earl Garner, and his name, Erroll. Some people are like, how do you spell his name? Garner. And he wrote the great Misty, the jazz ballad, the terrific, terrific. Um, you know, we've had so many monster pianists who have come out of here. Ahmad Jamal, current
yes.
day jazz great as well. And Earl Father, they call him, his nickname, Fatha, Father, Fatha, Earl Father Hines. Way back in Louis Armstrong's time, Louis Armstrong and Pittsburgh's own Earl Father Hines met.
Wow.
Some people say he created the single note solo. He started playing the single note improvised piano solos before anyone else. Now, did he, didn't he? That's what some stories say. He met Louis Armstrong, and guess what happened, Al?
I don't know.
Louis Armstrong took him and went around the world with him, our own Earl Father Hines, as his piano player. He was Louis Armstrong's piano player. Now,
That is awesome.
then Earl Father Hines started some of his own bands, and he had Pittsburgh's own Billy Eckstine singing. Also, the great Sarah Vaughan was singing with that band.
Wow.
So see, Pittsburgh was a piano city and was a great connector. And you'll see a lot of big names if you examine the piano and the great piano innovators for American music as well as jazz out of Pittsburgh. So remembering John D'Amico today
Yes.
with Get Here, and so many of the piano innovators like him who came out of our region here, we should all be like really, really, really proud. And remember, everybody, that sometimes in times like the coronavirus pandemic, when the venues are shut down because it's not safe to go inside, it's even more important to reach out to your musician friends and maybe, you know, go to their tip jar. There's tip jars that they have on their websites, and ask them to do a song for you and do a recording and email it over to you, and, you know, make a tip of whatever you can afford. That stuff really does help. I mean, it helps these musicians as we're in such hard times right now, Al. Hopefully, this won't be too long with vaccines on the horizon, but we
Right.
don't know how long it will be before Broadway opens up its doors again in New York City and the live venues come back.
Well, life is going to change. We're just not sure how much it can get back to normal and how quickly. It'll slowly but surely, but it's going to be a little bit different. So what we're doing here, I'm honored to be co-producing a show with you that we can enlighten other people and give them some history and hope, and to try to be safe out there. And stay positive. That's
Yeah, Al, and I want to say this too, that another way to help musicians, if you have extra time on your hands and you always wanted to learn how to play the guitar, play the piano, you wanted to learn how to sing better, it's a great time to take lessons via Zoom, like
sure.
virtually. You could take piano lessons with a great pianist, with a great singer. You can sing, and it's very easy to do virtually if you can do a video conference. And so that's another way to get a lesson and also support a pro musician during these
Great
trying
idea.
times.
Great idea, Jess. Let me kick it off. Get a hold of Jessica Lee for any voice and piano lessons. I'll
Or to
kick it off.
find someone out. I have a big network of musicians and singer friends, or even if you're looking for a saxophone player to study with, we have a big network, not just with me, but with a whole network of musicians. So yes.
Well, I'm laser focused on you since you're on the show. So I'll let you start with Jessica Lee and you can tap into her network or even mine, since I do have a lot of musician friends. And anybody we can get business for musicians right now, I'm all for it because of the talent and skills that you have. I can't sing or dance. I just have a nice voice, which I'm not afraid to use, but singing is not my cup of tea.
Well, I'm going to go buy some white tea right after this. I love white tea. And if it helps to block the coronavirus,
Yes.
possibly, why
Yes.
not? Right?
That's what they said in this latest study. I just got that clip, and green tea has a lot of healthy properties. Look, there's over 1 billion Chinese people that drink half a dozen cups a day, so they've done something, and there are great properties to it. And we try to eat healthy and try to maintain our health. That's one of the key things, to focus on keeping ourselves healthy during these trying times. Sorry to not get on a rant, but
That's right, though. That's right. You drink the green tea, I'll drink the white tea, and we'll see how we do. How about that, Al?
that'll be good. We'll end it on a happy note like this. Jess, thanks for your buy requests.
Hey, Al, and let's ask everybody, keep the song requests coming. We want to hear your stories, right, Al? We want to hear your
Yes.
stories. We want to hear your stories behind the song requests. We will try to honor those requests and perform them for you on the show. And we will also, be able to interview some people about their stories as well.
You can be on Zoom with us, and I'll listen to your story on how you came up with buy requests for JessicaLeeJazz.com. Tip the cats, defray the cost during COVID, and we'll keep doing this show every week. So please enjoy, listen to us again, and we'll have another great show coming.